Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third grid session where we get the opportunity to introduce the human being behind one of the voices that you will hear on the grid. And today I'd like to introduce you to Thor Odinson, who has contributed his meditation to this project. And during the next 30 minutes or so, we're just going to have a chat to understand the story behind this and how Thor came into the grid project and everything else that we might talk about. So welcome, Thor.
Thank you, Stephen. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, it's very good. Could you maybe tell us a little about yourself, Thor? You come from Iceland and you're down here in the south of France, but where did you come from?
Yeah, I come from Iceland. I come from, I guess, street art, design, counterculture as a teenager. I got educated in classical art and then I moved from there into design. Um, After studying design, I got into teaching art for a while, fell into working in cinema. I was also kind of raised in the theater. My mom worked in the theater a lot, and so I got menial jobs there. Um, I moved kind of without planning to do it. I got an opportunity to work in the film industry in Iceland, and from there I moved into the event industry. So I was kind of juggling event production, musical events, bank galas, big scale events of that nature, working on Hollywood films like Life of Walter Mitty, Clint Eastwood's Flags of Our Fathers, um, Darren Aronofsky's Noah, a lot of those big Hollywood productions that happened in Iceland.
Wow, cool.
Um, I then decided to get an MBA degree because I was always bringing creative teams together and somehow fell into the role of being the the company manager, doing the taxes, organizing, doing all of those things. And after I got the MBA degree, I fell into running a game studio, a computer game studio in Iceland, and watched that kind of grow from six people in Iceland and a handful of people in Shanghai over to there were 40 people in Iceland, offices in Shanghai, Singapore, Los Angeles, Reykjavik, outsourcers in both Latin America and in Australia. So basically operating in every continent except for Africa. During that time, I sat on the board of the Icelandic gaming industry and became the chairman of that coalition. Uh, Negotiating tax rebates, education reform, the expedition of visas for foreign experts into the IP industry in Iceland,
Yeah.
and served on the board of the Nordic Games Institute for a while as well. Um, since then, I've been working mostly as a consultant um, in the tech industry, and yeah, I think that's kind of my history.
Yeah, and then we just met in a coffee shop here in the south of France and became very good
Yeah.
friends and started collaborating with each other on lots of projects, including the grid, which is very cool. Funny how things how things present themselves to you at the right time. It's just fantastic, you know. So we are very grateful to have you, you know, as one of the voices on the grid. When we do go live with your meditation, I think people are really going to resonate with it. It's a really really beautiful way to bring a person from their mind down into their heart. So I'm very excited for people to actually hear one of your few meditations. Thor has done two so far, maybe even more as well. So, can I ask you, when did meditation become a big thing in your life, or was it always there, or like was there a point where you said, "Look, I need to go inward," and you know, is there a story behind it?
Yeah, of course. I think the first uh, my first experience with meditation was as a teenager. Um, Friends of mine were into all kinds of esoteric things that were maybe at that time, we're talking about like 1991, 1992, weren't really part of the Icelandic zeitgeist. You didn't have a yoga studio on every corner. You didn't have, people weren't into tantra or into any of the things that we kind of take for granted to be available to us today. So it was kind of like a counterculture moment when a friend that had been introducing me to a lot of weird music, passed me a cassette and said like, you should check this out. It's
Oh
like
yeah, I've heard
meditation.
of it. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I don't know if I was 13 or 14, but I remember lying down and listening to these cassettes and yeah, they just took me places. And you know, then that kind of stayed with me. I think I've always since then meditated on and off. Um, but I think about 10 years ago, when I decided to quit drinking alcohol, I was doing a lot of self-work. I was going through the 12 steps of the AA, and I was doing a lot of I guess, inventory of my life, of my emotions, of my grief, of my wrongdoings, of others. And during that period of time, I started to meditate a lot. And I found myself teaching meditation for a year, where I would show up at a studio 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. And so every 12 hours,
Yeah, the grid. Wow.
for a long time I was there. Sometimes there were three people that showed up, and sometimes 25, and so it. But I realized kind of recently, I think a couple of months ago, I realized that um, after this period of time, after that year had passed, I was becoming quite happy. I was floating, and the problem with meditation is that the more you meditate and the better you become at it, the less you need it. And
Yeah,
then
remember we talked about this, yeah. And then you stop.
and then you stop doing it, and then some time passes, and now you need it again.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I think to answer your question in a short and concise way, I think meditation has been a part of my life for a long time, and usually it's during moments of hardship where I've fallen into it, and I feel that it's helped me a lot. And yeah, as long as I remember to do it daily, I'm fine.
That's the thing. Yeah, you have to remember to do it, you know. And actually, most people, like you said, only fall into it when they're in a crisis and they go, "Oh my God, I forgot to meditate," you know. But if you do it every day, if you do something every day, a mindfulness practice every day, it can dramatically, as we've discussed many times offline, it can have a profound impact on your day. If you just start
Yeah.
off with a simple meditation and end with a simple meditation. And for now, the grid is taking you into the heart. You know, that's where the meditation is for now. It's like to go from the mind down into the heart and then to amplify that love energy inward first and then outwards into the grid, which you do a very, very beautiful meditation for it. But would it be fair to say that you live in your heart every day? Like, is that where you consciously bring yourself every day into your heart? Or is it a process? Or is it something that you forget to do sometimes?
I think so. I think so. Meditating is one thing, right? It's like telling someone just take a deep breath, focus on your breath. Okay, and you're already meditating, right? Because you're in the moment, you're experiencing something. You might not understand what's happening, but meditation in and of itself is simple enough. But I personally think that meditation affects our. I don't think it's been measured. Meditation affects our nervous system, and so what happens in our frontal lobe is connected to our lizard brain and to all the places in our body that create hormones. And so through meditation, we can turn off certain glands momentarily, and we can turn on others.
Yeah.
And the way I do it for myself is quite simple. I take a deep breath, I smile, and I find a happy memory, of someone else that I love. I find a happy memory of myself where I'm proud of myself. And I allow myself to just be in this stillness of happiness, of compassion for other people, or in self-respect, gratitude for having woken up, brushed my teeth, put on my
Oh,
clothes,
arms. Yeah. Yeah.
made myself coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
And
You're,
and I think, if you think about it like from the lizard brain perspective, um, you think about an animal like a deer grazing in the forest. It's perfectly happy,
yeah.
right? There is no problem until there's danger. And when there's danger, the lizard brain, the amygdala, pumps out hormones and neurotoxins into our body. The most measurable one being cortisol, often called the stress hormone. And it does this because the body then reacts by creating adrenaline, which gives us the power to sprint away from danger, right? And, and this is a good thing. We hear stories about parents seeing their kids go under a
Lifting the
car,
car up.
and
Yeah.
all of a sudden they have the power to do that. That's an interplay of the amygdala, the nervous system, adrenaline, and so it's not a bad part of us, but it's there. The problem in being human is that we have this beautiful computer, our frontal lobe, and which is designed, or at least works perfectly to solve problems.
Yeah.
Now, when the body is in a state, it's full of neurotoxins, it's full of stress hormones, fear hormones, and we have adrenaline in the body. The frontal lobe can start to look for the danger.
Mhm.
Where is the danger? You know,
Yeah.
because all of the conditions in our body are conductive to there being danger.
Yes.
And so this can set off a cascade of ideas like, paranoia, resentment, rethinking about bad ideas, bad experiences, telling ourselves negative stories about ourselves, about other people, about our circumstance. Um, and then as that's happening, what does the lizard brain do? It identifies these thoughts
Yeah.
as there is a danger, and it creates more of the bad neurotoxins that go into our body, and that then feeds back into our frontal lobe. And I think a lot of anxiety, I think a lot of the neurodivergence we're seeing today is simply because we live so much in short loops of dopamine fixes, in the anxiety created by a lot of TV shows, a lot of films, by the news, and by kind of the constant bombardment of negativity, which I'm not saying the world doesn't have negative aspects and we shouldn't do anything about anything, but it's not healthy for our nervous system to live in this kind
Yeah.
of cesspool of negativity, especially with things that we can't do anything about, because now we're just sat with the information. Something horrible is happening and you can't do anything about it,
Yeah.
which is not a good situation to be in, because most of us want to help out our fellow man, or
Yeah, just to be happy, to be happy and at ease with yourself. Because I remember recently I watched the beginning of a TV show, and 5 minutes into it, I felt this anxiety and this absolute feeling of dread come over me. And I was like, hang on, this is not, this isn't from you. This is basically since you turned on that TV show. So I think, yeah, you're right. A lot of the media that we consume have a lot of this anxiety stuff kind of built into it, there by default. And I think the key is to kind of stay away from it and to focus on yourself, right? Which is through meditation, through mindfulness, through going inwards, you know?
Yeah, I mean, different people have a different tolerance to this. For me, when I was doing the most meditating I've done in my life, like 10 years ago, I steered clear of social media. I steered clear of news. I steered clear of most of the environment that I was in,
Yeah.
except for the rustling of leaves, the
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 beautiful
kind of
things. Yeah. The
you
beautiful.
reflections of like glints of sun on water,
Yeah.
and but I think, exercises um, like the one I described to you earlier, where, we go to our happy place.
Yeah.
It's not
In
something I
fact,
invented.
can I just actually explain that? Um, sorry, one of your processes is to visualize the face of somebody who you love, and then to remember them laughing.
Can I take you through it
Yeah, please,
just
please,
now?
yeah. Please do. Yeah, yeah, that'd be
And,
wonderful. Thank you.
and if someone is watching this, you can follow along. It's really
Yeah,
simple.
we're gonna take me in. Okay.
Okay, so think about someone that you deeply care about.
Mm,
Could be a grandparent, a child, a good friend, doesn't matter. Don't look too hard. Whoever comes to mind.
yeah.
Remember this person when they were having a great time. They're laughing, they're smiling. Stay with that memory. Smile with that person. Now, as you smile, take a deep breath through your nose and see if you feel a warmth in your chest.
Mm,
And as you exhale, allow that warmth to gently expand. You can you can feel this warmth flowing into your shoulders, into your elbows, down through your arms, into the palms of your hands, into your fingertips. In your own speed, with your own breath, you can feel this warmth go down through the belly, through your back, through your buttocks, your hips, thighs, knees, calves, into your feet, into your toes. And then you can feel it kind of gently creeping up your neck, through your jaw, your ears, your nose, through the nervous system, the nerves behind your eyes, up through your cranium, into your crown. And then you can feel it gently radiating up from the top of your crown. And notice that you are radiating,
mm.
you know.
It's funny, Thor, as soon as you asked me to remember that person, instantly, instantly.
Mm,
Like, it's
mm.
fascinating. It's so simple. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. This is
Yeah.
just an example of Thor's meditation that I'll be running in the grid, which is very, very cool. Just to remember that feeling.
So what happens, right? Like, some people say let magic be magic and all of that, but there's always a degree of, but I feel there's always a degree of spiritual charlatanship, right? And in a way, maybe that's justifiable, that people need to learn that lesson to not completely put their trust in the hands of strangers
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because they call themselves a guru.
False
But
prophets and all that.
but this one, like, I like to explain to people how the coffee is made, right? So what happens when we do this is we go into compassion for another person.
Mm,
And I think 99.9% of humanity is capable of doing that, feeling this compassion. Um, and as we're in this state, the frontal lobe is not looking for a problem. And this turns off the amygdala, and it turns off the onset of negative hormones. And but it turns on some other things as well, because now we are feeling compassionate towards another person.
I can feel it
And
still.
and and now it starts to release a lot of other hormones, which have to do with connection, with bonding with other people, with love and safety, etc.
Mm,
So I think this is a very powerful exercise to do. You can you can evolve it, right? Because at first, when we start doing things like this, we're maybe a little bit in our heads, right? We don't maybe have the self-confidence, the self-respect. We might be dealing with guilt or loss or fear or resentment, difficult feelings, and we might not be so happy about ourselves, but we can find someone else
Yeah. Yeah,
and
to be
and,
happy with. Yeah. Yeah.
and be happy with them. So compassion is a really good starting point. Once we get a little bit good at that, we can start thinking about ourselves and finding a moment where we're proud of ourselves, finding a moment where we stood on our values, finding a moment where we were really happy, when we were laughing, when we were smiling,
Yeah, exactly.
and we can use that as an anchor, right? So I think when you ask, do I spend most of my day in the heart?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm I, I'm trying to do it more and more. So
Yeah, it's a
so I'll
constant
find
process. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
yeah. So
process.
I'll find myself kind of walking down the stairs and being like, oh, what should I get? What should I do? Oh, fuck, I have to go to this shop. Am I forgetting something? And then just
In an instant. Boom.
and
Yeah.
and just arriving now.
Yeah.
So and so I want to kind of try and make the parallel of being in the heart and being now, um, are maybe not 100% the same thing.
Yes.
But 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 for me, I do use this method of going into the heart
Yeah.
in order to trigger being here now.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah. It makes sense, and you know a lot of my story as well. You know that I had to figure out how to get out of my head and into my heart. That's the only way to get through hardship or to get through good times or bad times is to surf it through your heart's love energy. And it is a mechanical process. You don't even have to understand the poetry behind it or any of the metaphors or any of the different ways it's been described throughout all of our cultures throughout time. It's a mechanical process, which basically will switch off this part and switch this part on just by doing some really simple things. So people don't need to even buy into the different philosophies for it to actually have for it to have an effect on them. Putting their hand on their heart, taking a big deep breath, just relaxing, they will feel much better instantly. And then to do it every single day. And then, we have nearly 850 people, I think, have shared their thoughts with the Heart Amplification Center, which is designed to keep you in your heart throughout your day. Really simply, just to remember, a feeling of love. That child's face going, "Oh my God, I'm having the best day ever." That's for me is the ultimate memory of love. You know, to actually record an act of love, do something nice for somebody, buy somebody a cup of coffee, take their shopping bags up the stairs, tell them they look fantastic today, and then be grateful for our arms and our legs and for our ability to actually wash ourselves and get out of bed. When you're conscious of these things, like life flows a lot easier. So, I think it's really important to do it every day. Can I ask you, what do you think will happen when 1 billion people do this at exactly the same time? That's a big question, I know. Or 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, something great is going to happen. So the thing is, we often we often spend a lot of time thinking about things that are happening like way out of our dimensional control.
Yeah.
And I think we let that affect us in negative ways, um, even though it's good to be compassionate, it's good to care, it's good to do. But if there's a dictator somewhere out in the world with a red button that can turn the world off, right? Who am I to stop him? I'm not James Bond. I'm not the CIA. I'm not MI6. I'm not any of those things, right?
You are actually
So,
Thor Odinson, so that's actually tops them all. Thor Odinson from
but
Iceland.
but but if I'm thinking about that constantly, like
Yeah.
about this and this problem, and I'm focusing on on the foreign policy of some world power and how that's affecting millions of people in another continent badly, right? And then my own child comes to me and is like, "Hey, Dad, can can we go and get ice cream?" And I'm like,
Don't have time for that,
"So
son. The world's at war.
that, that's busy worrying about stuff that he can do nothing about. He's too busy worrying about that to enjoy ice cream with you now. Like, go and be quiet somewhere. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. And but so what I try to say to people is, you don't have to light up the whole world. You just have to light up the the world that you're part of every day. Be kind to your coworkers. Be kind and present for your family. Be kind and present for yourself. You have to start with yourself, because if you're not in a good condition, you can't be helping anyone else, right? So
Yes.
start with yourself, and then start with your environment, etc.
Yeah.
But the thing I find so beautiful about the grid is that the idea that people all around the globe can come together with the intention of spreading love and spreading light and kindness and hope and gratitude and presence. For me, in a way, it's also like a support network, right?
The ultimate support tool. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would hope that, like, if people, regardless of creed, political beliefs, and all of these things that we use as a separator, be that gender, race, uh, sexual identity, fashion, music taste.
Yeah, we're just being divided. Yeah, we're being
You
divided.
know,
Yeah.
all of this is divisive, and it's gotten to the point where disagreeing is also dehumanizing. People dehumanize each other and put each other down, because they disagree on tax law implementation,
Yeah.
which is,
Therefore, we can't be friends anymore because we disagree about something that's happening in America. It's ridiculous.
yeah. But whereas, if you just get down into it, and you're present with another human being, you can disagree on a million things, but you can look each other in the eye and you can say, I
Love you.
I enjoy your presence. And
Yeah.
and for me, like, the funny thing is, because nothing in the world, really is a zero-sum game. Yes, sure, resources and there's a finite number of certain things, but when we talk about emotions, we talk about gratitude, we talk about love, kindness, these things, the more you give, the more you have. And when we think about the economics of kindness and wishing other people well, you know, I see it in the way that if my neighbor is well off, then his kids aren't going to be robbing my kids in the street.
Yeah,
You know,
it's very true.
if my neighbor is really well off,
Yeah.
he might be able to sponsor the school and getting a better teacher for all the kids. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
so so looking at it like a competition. If you view every other human being as a competitor for what? For happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. We
You know,
want you to
the
be
way
happy. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel fulfilled and loved and complete because then it's going to make my world better and the entire world better. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's very
I mean,
simple.
would I rather walk into the cafe or library or swimming pool or whatever, where there's going to be people from my community? Would I rather walk in there and see a lot of shiny, happy people having the best day of their lives?
Yeah.
Or do I want to go in there and see everyone full of
Mhm.
existential dread and fear about things they have no control over, right?
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, like I find that in the creation of the grid, I'm always meeting the most incredible people who always come out of nowhere at exactly the right time. And in many ways, like the actual building of the grid is a giant therapy session. And all of the best therapists are now beginning to show up, like yourself, to actually give these incredible, simple processes that anybody can use, that anybody can relate to, regardless of whatever or wherever you come from.
Mm.
And first off, I'm very grateful that we have crossed paths. And I know that the grid is going to greatly benefit and will continue to greatly benefit from all of the amazing advice, all of the amazing product ideas that you have fed to the grid for the work that you do to support us in the building of the grid meetings. So just for me personally, I'm incredibly grateful that we are friends and we are connected. But then the second thing is, I got to witness the creation of the Cascade of Radiance, which is your new Instagram project. And you started, what, 30 days ago? You said, I'm going to put a post out every single day designed to help a person to feel happier in a really simple nutshell. And you sat downstairs in the apartment and you filmed the first one. And every single day you've been consistent with it. You've done it every single day, and every day it gets more beautiful and more connected and more relevant to people in their lives. So perhaps maybe you could just maybe tell us a little bit about this project, Cascade Radiance, if I haven't already told everything.
Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate them. Just want to acknowledge that. Yeah, the Cascade of Radiance. Uh, so it comes from this memory I was telling you about when I was teaching meditation every day, and I was feeling so good. I wasn't really even feeling. I wasn't thinking. I was so present, and life just came so naturally to me, right? Then I got a nice job. I got a beautiful fiance. It's amazing. I got a beautiful apartment. I got everything. And
Stop praying now. Boom, boom, boom.
well, the studio I was teaching in kind of closed down. So, but I didn't make the effort to move on, to find another place. I kind of just decided like I'm just gonna go and live my best life, right? I've done my time, I guess, you know. And then over the years, it became kind of slowly but surely like I wasn't in as bad of a state as I was in before giving up alcohol, right? I remained sober and practicing self-respect, but it was something that like the baseline was slowly going down. And so after some contemplation, I realized that I have the type of personality where it's easier for me to show up for myself when I'm committed to showing up for others. Just as it's easier for me to get into a loving state by thinking about someone else than myself,
Mhm.
you know. And so I was kind of trying to figure out, I'm here in France. I don't speak the language well enough to go and lead meditations here or do anything like that. So and I realized, wait a minute, social media, I can just put this into the void and see what sticks. The important thing is that I find a way to show up for other people, and therefore showing up for myself. So in a way, it's a very self-serving, selfish project.
Yeah.
So I started posting on both, first on Instagram and then on Instagram and TikTok. Just these short videos of
Helping
me
people
being
smile.
like,
Helping people
"Hey,
smile. Smile. Don't forget.
have you have you remembered to smile today?" You know, and then I started did also I'm doing these meditations and where I'm talking about things like forgiveness, kindness, hope, love, the topics that are, I think, conductive to a positive mindset. And it's been amazing. And I just celebrated 30 days yesterday. I set
Yesterday.
myself the
Yeah.
goal of
Yeah.
sticking with it for 30 days. And I decided after yesterday that I'm going to make this part of my daily practice now. And
Excellent.
yeah, so that's
Good. Yeah. And in fact, if I could just go back, you said that it might be a little bit self-serving. I don't agree with that. I think that if you go out to help somebody to plow their fields because they can't do it themselves, and the after effect of that is you get big, strong muscles, that's just a fantastic side effect of helping them, So I think the help you're giving people may be coming back to you, but you're actually helping more people than you are yourself. So well done. You're doing a great job.
well. The thing is, with love, joy, kindness, happiness, the more you share with other people,
The more you
right,
get back. Yeah.
the more you get back.
Yes.
And when you realize that,
Yeah.
it can become a selfish
Yeah, it can become
practice.
quite addictive, like, helping people because like, oh yeah, this is brilliant.
Yeah, because you're doing it for them,
Yeah.
but you by doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Agreed.
and but loving yourself enough to do something for yourself isn't a sin. There's a difference between self-serving and self-loving. You know,
Yeah. 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 Okay.
and
Very good.
and and does and and I think for me, I know that I feel better when I'm encouraging other people. I know that I feel better when I'm consoling other people. I know that I feel better about myself
Mhm.
when I'm doing positive deeds.
It's the same with me, brother. The exact same with me. Like it feels good to do something nice, and it feels even nicer when you see the positive effect it has on another or in another situation. So I suppose, yeah, we give and we receive, which is very beautiful. So we have Thor Odinson, the creator of the Cascade of Radiance, the voice contributor to the grid, part of building the grid team. Um, very happy that you're here. Very, very happy. So is there anything else you'd like to say? Or because if there's anything else,
Well, I'd like to say some nice words about the grid. I think it's an absolutely absolutely a beautiful concept. You know?
mm,
And when I saw it for the first time, the idea of being able to visualize people coming online, all over the world, uh, and to get this sense, you know, because like when I try to go into my love and kindness, into my heart, into my happy place, I know that I can send this energy to situations, to other people, to I can radiate this energy to other places. But I think the beautiful thing about the grid is to be able to visualize that and to be able to invite people from all around the globe to come together um, in a moment. And it's also because it's like it happens twice a day, so it becomes like an anchor, right? In the same way that posting on social media is an anchor for me, the grid and the timer, all of this, it becomes an anchor for this practice. And now it's also becoming a platform for people such as myself and all the other amazing people that are contributing to this project. It's becoming a platform for these meditations, and I the thing I love about the grid is that it's not monetized. It's not driven by any kind of commercial aspects because I think I mean breathing, mindfulness,
yeah, you can't price that.
loving kindness meditations.
Yeah.
This keeps getting rebranded again and again and again. But if you look at the history of it, like most of these practices are coming from way back in history. Like, you can read the Visuddhimagga, which is like, Sanskrit. There's And then it's like, oh yes, this businessman in in Miami is now coming out with
Yeah, yeah.
a guide to be a happy
Yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah.
Think happy thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's always like, I did this, I made this, and everyone's kind of trying to take ownership. And then it's like, let me give you a breathing exercise, and
Yeah.
then 3 minutes into it, let me tell you about the paywall where you can come on YouTube and
Yeah,
we'll
but
do
wait,
this
there's
for you.
more.
You know, and I'm always like, what are you trying to sell? Like how, you know, and
Yeah.
so I really appreciate the concept of the grid, that it's free, it's not monetized, it's not commercially, predatory in any way, which which gives a beautiful platform to people to share meditation, share techniques, you know, and yeah, I genuinely think it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you. And also, it was actually your great idea of actually making available the list of things that we're working on to see if people can help, because it's never monetized, it's never commercialized. So we can never actually, fund this in the traditional way, because it's not fundable in terms of investors need return on investment and all of these things. So we now have to rethink that by, saying, well, look, everybody, here's the projects we're working on. Here's the resources that we need. Can you help? Have you got the resources? Have you got what's needed? Which actually makes it even more of a community. We have all of the musicians of the world going to provide their music. We have all of the great meditators of the world. We have, if you're a software developer or a visual artist or whatever it is, we have a job for you here. If you can provide some financial assistance, fantastic. But the grid just keeps expanding and everybody puts their little piece in. So it's built by all of us, which makes it even more beautiful, you know? So thank you, Thor. Appreciate it. And I'm very glad to call you a friend and looking forward to seeing what happens next. But listen out for Thor's meditation in the grid coming up in September. Are we finished?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Thor. And, we will post this on the YouTube at some point today. Cheers.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. And remember to
Remember, and if you can,
remember to
remember to
smile.
smile.